Hello guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Thlologelo Rampa and this is Relocate to Australia with Promise, your number one DIY relocation platform. Okay, don't forget that. So please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to this channel for more content on how you guys can also do this whole relocation migration process yourself. As I've always said, as I always say in my videos, you do not need an agent to do this. Everything is on the website, everything is on the internet. Google will be your best friend, so you guys can do this literally online. You having internet access, you being able to watch me on YouTube means that you are able to then do this process yourself. So anyways, let's get down to today's business, you guys. I have spoken about this. I have spoken about the skills assessment. I will leave a link down below for you guys to reference that video and some other videos that I have spoken about regarding employment and all of that. I don't want to spend a lot of time discussing the skills assessment in depth like I did in my previous videos. Obviously, I have titled this video skills assessment for employment purposes, but one thing that I want to highlight is that the skills assessment is for everything. You just do one skills assessment for you to be able to come to Australia and work. As I've explained in the previous videos that I've done regarding the skills assessment, a skills assessment is basically you saying to the Australian government, I've got these qualifications, I've got these skills, and I can use them in your country. So what they'll do, you'll go through an assessing, do I call it an assessing process? Yes, basically kind of like a skill conversion assessing process. So whichever field you're in, if you're in the medical field, if you're an engineer, if you're a social worker, whatever you are in your profession, you are able to apply with your qualifications and your skills and go to different skills assessing authorities. They will then determine, all right, fine, we are good and happy with the skills that you have and the work experience that you have. We believe you will be able to work and fulfill a role in Australia. Obviously, a lot of people who would then be migrating as skilled migrants, they would have to go through that process, right? But I have met people who have said to me they have not done the skills assessment, but they still got visas to come in. One thing that I know though is that it would not be a permanent residency visa, because if you're going to be applying for a PR visa, you need to have your skills assessment. I'm just not too sure how companies and people kind of override the whole thing of then getting a skills assessment done. I've met one lady who was a social worker. I think I did talk about this in my previous video. She was a social worker. She came to Australia without doing her skills assessment, got employment. But it just so happened that with that employment, things did not go well. And then she ended up having to leave that job. It was not by choice. And then once that happened, she was given a bit of a stay here in Australia. So Australia is sometimes lenient, where they'll be like, okay, fine, we're giving you about maybe 3 months to sort your things out. In that time, she was trying to look for another employer. However, in our last communications, I believe she was unable to do so and she had to return home. When I was speaking to her, I'd asked her, okay, fine, did you do your skills assessment? And she explained to me, no, she didn't. And I felt like if she had done her skills assessment, it would have been much more easier for her to then get another role. Because with employers, usually what they do, if you're an immigrant and you wanting to get employment in Australia, they will ask you or ask things along the line, do you have the qualifications? Obviously, yes. And are your qualifications accredited in Australia? So once you've got that paperwork, at least, you know, it gives you that, yeah. But there are some people that have done it. They've relocated to Australia on employment visas without the skills assessment. I do not at all advise you to do that. Obviously, it will save you costs in the beginning, but in the long term, it is not going to be good for you, especially if you're looking to get more permanent visas such as the PR. Not advisable, because with the PR visa you will need your skills assessment. So guys, the skills assessment is very important. It is very, very crucial for your relocation and your ability to get employment in Australia. As I said, employers will feel more comfortable working with you and, you know, being in communication with you when they know that, okay, this person knows what they're doing, they know what they're getting themselves into, and they are legit, because there are a lot of scammers out here. So one of the things that continue to happen to me, guys, and I don't know if this is going to be happening forever and ever, maybe I should just, you know, get myself used to it. A lot of people still come to me in my inboxes, on the comment section and everything, to say, Promise, we want to relocate, please help me. Hey, how do I help you? Oh, Akira, now I've got this channel with all the information. Like, have you been there? Do you have questions? Are you stuck somewhere? You know, at least when you come to me, like, hey, I've done 1, 2, 3, I'm stuck here. But if you are starting from zero, it's like, where do I start with you? You know, and I feel like I have spoken so much about relocating, and I do say this to a lot of people that this process is long, it is daunting for people that have done it. I know there's evidence. There are people that have watched my channel and they did it from scratch and they have managed to relocate. So it is proven beyond reasonable doubt that this is a possibility. It can be done. All you just need to do is just calm down, take it one step at a time, one tick box at a time. Have a checklist to say, okay, fine, this is what Promise said I would need. Check, 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 check. This is what I've done. Okay, what am I left with? What's the next step? Okay, now I'm gonna do this. Okay, now I'm gonna do that. And then papara, you are here. So when I'm still having people who come to me to say, Promise, I want to relocate, I want to come to Australia, where do I start? I feel like, okay, this person has not done their research. Maybe it's the first time they're seeing me. Maybe it is overwhelming. Maybe it is too exciting for them. They've not done their research about who I am, where I've started with this whole thing, because I yep a lot on this channel. So the information is here. If you look, the information is here. As I said, I'm not going to say too much on this whole skills assessment thing, but I will stress this and I will emphasize this. The skills assessment is where it begins for a lot of people. For a lot of immigrants, the skills assessment is where it begins. Without the skills assessment, you can't move to other steps. Okay, as I said in the beginning, there are people that have been employed and that have relocated to Australia, especially if we are looking at the, you know, skilled migration stream, not the student one, not any other visa, the, you know, the occupation stream, the skills stream, the employment stream. You need to start with your skills assessment. I said you need to start with your skills assessment. Okay, you start with your skills assessment. But before the skills assessment, where you begin, number one, where you begin is making sure that your skills are on the occupation skills list. Occupation skills list. I always get this wrong. And also in this video, we're going to look at that a bit because I want to take you guys step by step. As I said in my previous episode, I want to walk with you guys through the step to say, okay, this is where it begins with employment. We are strictly looking at employment, nothing else for now. Okay, with employment, this is where it's going to begin, and we want to get you to a place where you can find sponsored jobs in Australia. I encourage people to look for sponsored jobs because, number one, as Africans, when you're looking at the rand to the dollar, it is very painful and brutal. So if you've got someone who's willing to sponsor you and who's willing to pay for your visa, for your flights, 1 month accommodation, there's some people who really get companies that have amazing packages. So I really advise people and I encourage people to go that route. And then once you come here with that sponsored visas, it cuts you a lot of cost. It is very cost effective, saves you a lot of money, and it helps you settle better. Then you can look into like a more permanent resident visa, but you can always simultaneously apply for a permanent residency visa and a temporary visa at the same time. I've done a video about that. It's gonna pop up just now, and I will also leave a link down below for you guys to watch that. You can apply for more than one visa at the same time. Whatever you qualify for, you can apply for it. There are pros and cons that come with that. That's why it is very advisable for you to watch that video to then know what you're getting yourselves into if you're going to be applying for more than one visa. All right, so as I said, you guys, I really do encourage people to do their skills assessment. Please do your skills assessment. If your skills are on the occupation list and you're one of the people that are able to relocate to Australia in 2023, because as I said in my previous videos also, the occupation list is up and down. There's some skills that will go in, there's some skills that will go out. There's some way it's like, okay, if this year it was a priority, we wanted a lot of doctors, and then 5 years down the line, now we're good with the doctors, now we want engineers. So the rankings will go up and down. I'll explain that more when we go onto the computer. As I've said, I have done this before, but I'm doing this so that I emphasize it for you guys and I make sure that you really do understand what I'm talking about. You need to do your skills assessment in order to get employment in Australia. It is not a must, but I believe it will put you in a better position in your relocation journey. And at least when you know you've got that paperwork, when you then going to be applying for your PR visa, it's already done. You know, it's much more cheaper that way as well, because if you're going to be trying to do things in a foreign country and you're doing it back in South Africa. Like, for example, you've already relocated to Australia and now you're trying to get your skills assessment done with documents and things that are in South Africa. The cost, the stress, unnecessary. So it is better for you to do it and finish. When you are doing things in South Africa that is needed for your relocation process, do them fully right now. Everything that you will need, just do it fully. Talk to a lawyer if you feel there are things that will be legally binding for you. Speak to a lawyer, seek some advice in South Africa. It is much cheaper to get advice from lawyers who are in South Africa than lawyers who are in Australia, because Australian lawyers are expensive. They're so expensive. They're so expensive. So you don't want to find yourself in a predicament and then you seeking help in a foreign country and your life is now stuck. It's not gonna be nice. By all means, please make sure that you don't leave no strings loose in jail. You tie everything and you make sure that everything is tight before relocating. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to mention before moving on to the computer, you don't need to do your skills assessment first before applying for jobs. You can apply for jobs before doing your skills assessment. Okay, let me repeat that. You can apply for jobs before completing or doing your skills assessment. So basically in Australia, you can apply for jobs whenever. Like, you can literally start today. And then obviously in your cover letter, in your resume, you'd have to explain, I am in South Africa, this is where I got my qualifications. However, I feel it is important for you to put there, I'm in the process of having my skills assessed, right? And if it does happen that you then submit those documents, you can just put a blab nyana in there to say, documents documents have already been submitted, I'm awaiting an outcome, right? And then at least an employer will be like, okay, fine, this person is doing something to get themselves here. You know, I feel it is very important for you to do that. It also shows initiative. It shows that, okay, fine, you have done your research, even if it's just a bit, but you know what you're talking about. The other thing that your skills assessment does is it opens the door to you then being registered with a regulatory board. Yes, I was trying to make sure that I get that one right. For example, let's say you are a vet. You need to be registered with a vet board here, either in New South Wales, Queensland, Northern Territory, whichever state you're in. So this obviously means that as a vet, you need to do your skills assessment in order for you to be registered with the vet board. You might not be able to register with the vet board if you have not done your skills assessment and the outcome is not positive. With social workers, I really don't know. It is very interesting because I don't know how this happened where a person then relocated to Australia without doing their skills assessment. I would love to learn more about that. All right, you guys, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover before I went onto the computer. So let's switch to that right now. Okay guys, so I'm going to be showing you how to get to your skills assessment. Okay, we're not going to be going in depth in the skills assessment in this video. I'm just showing you how to get there and how to start reading the information on the Skills Assessing Authority webpage. How to basically get to your Skills Assessing Authority webpage. All right, so what you're going to need is a search engine. I prefer if people use a wider screen. That's what I'm using at the moment. But if you've got a phone, you can always use that. It is much better to use a phone when you know exactly where you're going. But if you're still navigating around and you want a better view and more information and maybe less confusing process, use a wider screen. So when you get to the Google search engine, just type in these keywords: Home Affairs Australia, or Australian Home Affairs, or the Department of Home Affairs Australia. But you must have Home Affairs Australia as keywords, okay? Hopefully when you do that, it will bring you to this. But just make sure whatever you're clicking on is the Australian Department of Home Affairs website. And this is how you verify and make sure that this is the correct one. It has to have homeaffairs.gov.au. There are a lot of scammers out there. There are a lot of people who are doing nasty things on the internet. So make sure that you are communicating and talking to the right people. There are some websites that will look like, okay, fine, I'm talking to people who are in Australia or people that are going to get me into Australia. But as I said, you don't need a middleman. You don't need an agent. You can do this whole process yourself. And this is how you can do it. So you go onto this website, the Home Affairs website page. This is their homepage, okay? I need you guys to ignore this part here. You can have a little bit of read, but if you don't want to get yourself tired, especially if you are, especially if this is the first time or you are not used to this website, don't read all of the information. Just be specific with what you're looking for, and then when you have time, you can go into all the other options. When you get to this page, click on immigration and citizenship. As you can see on the wider screen, you're going to have these options. I'm not too sure how it looks on the phone. I've not looked on the phone in a while, but on a big screen, you're going to have these options pop up, and then you're going to have these ones on the bottom. I don't want you guys to focus on these ones right now, especially if you don't know what you're looking for and where you're going, because it can get confusing. Like, for example, if you click on this, it's going to have more options for you to read. If you click on this one, it's going to have more options for you to read. If you click on this one, more options, more options. You don't want to find yourself in this kind of a situation and get overwhelmed. It is much more better when you just relax and you're like, okay, I'm doing this one step at a time. Let me see, what do they say about PR visa or cancelling a visa or bringing someone? Okay, what do they say about hiring someone in Australia? What do they say about becoming a sponsor or nominating a position? You know, those kind of things. You can read them when you have the time. But if you're looking for specific things, come down here. You can spend some time looking at all these other tabs. We'll do it some other time, but just not now. For now, I just want to show you how to get to your skills assessment, okay? When you come here, there are different options. There are different things, and you're going to be overwhelmed, but don't panic. Just calm down. Don't focus on any of the other tabs. Focus on the second one, which is the explore visa option, okay? For people that are going to be applying for TSS visas, I would recommend for you to also spend some time on this tab, which is for your employer, just so you know what is expected from your employer. You can also spend time here where they talk about visa conditions. You can read more about your visa and what the conditions are, so that you are informed and you've done your research. Here they talk about visas that are expiring or have expired. You don't want to see yourself in this position, but if you want to make sure that you're not in this position, make sure you also read this tab and you abide by the rules of your visa, okay? When you come in here, it's gonna have all the visa options that you can look at, okay? There are different ones. Don't get overwhelmed. You just make sure that you know which one you are looking for. So in order to get to your skills assessment, you need to click on the work tab. Yes. When you click on that tab, it will bring you to this page where you'll be prompted, right? So they're basically asking you, okay, fine, you want to come into Australia to work. All right, it means you're a skilled immigrant. Where do you fit in? What kind of work will you be doing? And then you explain, okay, no, I know this one is not me. Will I be participating in a research project? No, it's not me. What are you? You will be a skilled or a highly specialized worker, okay? When you get to this page, they're going to ask you, how long are you intending to stay in Australia? How long do you want to stay here? Do not click on permanently, because when you click on permanently, it is going to take you to PR visas. For now, I just want us to focus on the TSS visa, right? You can still get your skills assessment through this. You can click on permanently, and then you continue with the details. It will get to a point where they will ask you for a skills assessment. So here you'll be exploring all the PR visas that would be available to you as a skilled immigrant, right? But what we want to do right now is to focus on the TSS visa, the sponsored visa, where an employer will hire you, and then they will pay for your visa, your flights, your accommodation. Some companies have amazing packages for immigrants, so that's what we're going to be focusing on. I love that visa because it sets you up very well. It helps you to settle. So yeah, I always recommend for people to look at having a TSS visa and then apply for a PR visa simultaneously or later on. If you are a skilled worker who wants to live in Australia for less than 5 years or up to 5 years, you might qualify for 4 visas. So basically there are 4 visas that match your criteria. I don't want us to look at all these other ones, because what I want us to look at is the TSS visa subclass 482, which will be paid for by your employer, which will be done by your employer. You don't need to do anything here apart from doing your skills assessment, doing your English test if you need to do it, doing your police clearance, doing your medicals, and then you give your documents to your employer, and they will be uploading your documents, paying for however much it would have been costing them from that side, and you just don't need to worry about that. You just need to worry about you getting that visa and coming to Australia, okay? With these other visas, some of them are like point tested, as you can see with this one. They've got conditions saying that you need to live in a regional area. But for now, let's focus on the TSS visa. We'll look at the other ones later on. So when you get here, I get now you've figured out, okay, fine, the visa that I want is the subclass 482. So, okay, fine, how do you get that information? You click on to details, I get. Now we are focusing on the TSS visa, subclass 482. There are 4 options for this visa, the TSS visa. There's a short-term stream, there's a medium-term stream, a labor agreement stream, and then there's this one, the subsequent entrant pathway. Sekgoa is too deep. They explain themselves. You can go into that. I don't want to do that right now because I just want to get to the skills assessment. When you click on the details, it's going to give you more information about what this is under the TSS visa. So with the medium term stream, that's the one that we were on when we relocated to Australia after my husband got employment here. So they had given us 4 years. These are the conditions. This is the processing time. But if you need more details about this stream, you can click on details, right? You will see this when you click onto different visa options. They'll give you the stay, they'll give you the cost, the processing time, the visa conditions, what you must do in order to fulfill the requirements of that visa, and also very important, help with your visa. They're basically highlighting here that if you are getting help with your visa, if somebody's going to be doing this visa for you, this is what you should know, okay? Who can help with your visa application? Read this, read these so that you don't get scammed, okay? So now we're looking to go to the skills assessment, okay? We are going to ignore this for now because we're not talking about the TSS visa specifically. But if you want to know more about it, you can always click on this hyperlink here, see all conditions, check your eligibility. You can do that at any point in time. It will give you in-depth information. But what we need to look at right now are the requirements. So when they are talking about the requirements, they're like, okay, fine, listen. We need to make sure that your skills are on the skilled occupation list. You can also get to the occupations list by clicking on this hyperlink about the skills assessment. We're going to do that now. When you click on the skills assessment hyperlink, it brings you here. This is where you will be getting all the information you need about what a skills assessment is in Australia and what that means for the Australian government, okay? This here is just an overview. As I said, they will give you this. For example, when they're talking about a combined list of eligible skilled occupations, you see this hyperlink here, it's going to take you directly to the occupation list. An occupation list is where you go to make sure my skills are wanted and needed in Australia. These are the assessing authorities that you're going to be engaging with in order to start your skills assessment process. The skills assessment is the process that you will be doing to make sure that you can use your qualifications, your skills, your experience in Australia. It is a process. So when you go down, it's got this here. It's talking about all the visas that are available for people who would have then done their skills assessment, okay? One thing I want you to notice is that they say you might need a skills assessment if you apply for the following visas and streams. With them saying you might need a skills assessment, I'm thinking, okay, is that how some people came into Australia without doing a skills assessment? I don't know how they did that. I really don't know. But I would advise you to not do that, please. Don't even try that. And then the last section here, it's talking about getting a skills assessment. So there are 2 steps. First step is to contact an assessing authority, okay? What they mean by contact an assessing authority, gather your paperwork, look at the application form, fill it in, make sure you tick all the boxes that are very relevant and needed for your skills assessment in order for you to get the best outcome. And the best outcome is a positive outcome. And then you pay the money that's needed for the assessment, you mail that assessment, and then you wait for them to get back to you with an answer. That is step number 1. Step number 2 is very simple. Let me show you. When you click on details, they tell you once you've then received your skills assessment outcome and it is positive, very simple. You just have to provide a scanned certified copy. You just scan that copy of the skills assessment to your visa application. Simple. So there are 2 steps. The first step is the one that is long and daunting. Then this one, this one is your golden ticket. Basically, it's just saying, Amasangwa Vulegile, the doors are open now. You can move on to the next step. So then we're going to come up here. We're going to look at this tab just for a while. The Skills Assessing Authority. So when you click on that hyperlink, it's going to give you this, né? The Assessing Authorities. You can search for whichever one. AASW, for example, the social worker one. And then it's going to give me the website. And then I can copy this website. I can copy this one. And then I can put it in here. And then takes me here, right? The Skills Assessing Authority, where my skills assessment is going to be done. Again, let me just go back a bit. I searched for the one that mine I know it by head by now. Again, but let me see if I search for social work. Yep. So even if I search for social worker, it's gonna pop up. This one, if I search for social work, it's still gonna pop up. So this is the Assessing Authority, where my skills assessment is going to be done. So if you're looking for your skills assessing authority, or you just want to make sure and double check, okay, this one is the right one, come here. Click on skills assessing authorities. This is the list of all the skills assessing authorities. So basically, these are organizations that have been nominated by the Australian government in order to carry out the verification and the conversion of qualifications and skills from people who are immigrants looking to migrate into Australia. Again, so once you have read about the skills assessment, you can come to this hyperlink, which is going to take you to the occupation list. Remember, I've already said that, but let's just go back a bit. So we are back here, still under the TSS visa, the medium term stream. Remember, we clicked on details for us to get into this page right here. I told you there were two ways in which we can get to the occupation list, through the skills assessment and through this link. So obviously, because we've gone back, let's just click on this one. But you can click on the other one, that hyperlink or skills assessment, for you to get to the occupation list. Okay, guys, we have made it to the occupation list. Guys, this is where it all begins. If your occupation is not on this list, though, I'm sorry. Try next time. I'm going to be leaving a direct link for this page here so that you don't have to go through the whole process. And I'm also going to be leaving a link for the Home Affairs website so that you can start go zero and then you can build up. But if you want to just come here straight, I'll give you a link to that. All right, fine. So when you get to this tab, guys, the first thing you will see are the different visa options you qualify for as a skilled migrant who will be looking to do their skills assessment. Okay, when you're looking at it like this, it's not that much, it's not that overwhelming, but the more you read about the visas and the more you go into these hyperlinks here, it gets confusing and quite deep. So in the middle section here, it's just some bit of definitions for some of these things here. You can have a read. I'm not going to do that now because I just want to focus on getting to the assessing authorities and how to get there. There are some skills that will be put out of this list for a while and then they'll come back. It is depending on the labor demands of the country that year or within that period. You can always come here to search directly for whichever occupation you're looking for. So let's say for me, I'm a social worker. I'll type in the social work or social worker, and then my occupation will pop up, okay? I've spoken about this in my previous video where I have done this. You need to focus on what your occupation is or what it is classed under, the code. These are all the visas that you qualify for as a social worker who would then be looking to relocate to Australia. Look at this. This list is long. It is good news. And this basically tells you, okay, fine, the skill or this qualification is very much high in demand. As you can see here with this abbreviation, if you want to know what this abbreviation is, come and read the middle section just after the visa options. They are explained here for you. And if you need more information, there's always a hyperlink that will take you to where you will get more information. What we are going to be focusing on right now is the assessing authority. As I said, mine is AASW, right? When I click onto this one, it gives me this hyperlink. Remember we did this, and then I can always copy this, copy it, and then I open a new tab, and then I paste this one. There we go. And then it brings me here. Okay, so I wanted to do this so that when I go back to the Home Affairs website, I want to show you what will happen if I click on this link here. So when you get to this page, the skilled occupation list page, and you come here, you have searched your occupation. You can see, okay, fine, my assessing authority is AASW. Let me click on that. And then you click on it, it gives you the link. When you click on the link from here, it is going to redirect you here. It's going to redirect you to the AASW homepage. Please remember, this is not part of the government. It is an organization that is outside of the government. They have just been assigned to make sure and verify that these qualifications are legit and this person can use their skills in Australia to fulfill a role. But they are not part of Home Affairs. They are just partners. I hope you understand. So until you have done your skills assessment, not much can be done on the Home Affairs website. You'll basically coming here now. So this is where we are, making sure that you come to your relevant skills assessing authority. Okay, it is different for different people. Let me just go back here a bit. There are different assessing organizations, qualifications assessing authorities. Hey, this word. Depending on what your qualifications are. Remember in the beginning I showed you that there is an authority list, assessing authority list. You can find it through the skills assessment tab if you want to find out more information about what your skill assessing authority is. This list will help you to also know what your assessing authority is. So I think this is the best way, because when you go through the skills assessment tab, it only shows you the website to different assessing authorities, but they don't go into details to say, okay, if you are under this qualification, then your assessing authority would be this one. There are some that are quite direct. It's easy for you to know, but there are some skills that have multiple options. Like I know with accountants, let me just see here. Let me just do this. Accountant. I know with accountants, they've got 3 assessing authorities. So you might have to click into each one of these, visit those websites in order to make sure that you've got the correct assessing authority. Spend time reading. So we've got different skills assessing authorities. We've got the Vet Assess, we've got Engineers Australia, we've got the TRA. I have spoken about these in my previous video, so I'm not going to be talking about them a lot in this video. I want us to go into these different assessing authorities from my next upload in order to get into them, and hopefully I can show you guys how to navigate your skills assessing authority, how to get to the correct forms, and how to go about doing your skills assessment. We can read together. All right, I think this will be it for me, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've learned something today. I will be back with my next upload next week. I'll be focusing again on skills assessment until we get to a place where you guys can now gather your documents and start working on your different skills assessment. Okay, so if you've got any questions, please comment down below. Reach out to me on my social media. Engage with us on our Facebook page, which is Relocate to Australia with Promise. And I'll see you guys in my next upload. Bye-bye.